I've been doing quite a bit of work lately with Integration Cloud Service as well as the new API platform. And one of the things that I have been seeing in several of the other products, but I'm sure we'll be seeing more of in these two in particular, is the ability to have them work together. And one thing I've had a few people ask me about is if there's a way to quickly expose services that I've put into my Integration Cloud Service in the API platform. So I wanted to show this, how to do this and make this available if anybody wants to take it and play around with it. What I decided was when I had these integrations in my Integration Cloud Service was I didn't want to necessarily expose all integrations, but rather integrations that are active and integrations that are REST-based inputs. So what I did is I created this sample here that is a REST start point, and it is active. So it has this simple interface that is REST-based and just basically sends to a mock service. But I wanted, when I created this, to expose it into my API platform. So if I kind of go over here to my API platform console, you can see I've got a couple of APIs defined here. I created one called ICS template, where inside I created this idea of what I would typically want in all of my services initially. Maybe some basic key validation, some rate limiting, and that kind of thing. And then I took a look at the configuration for this and put it into my, my service. So inside of here, if I go back and see the list of APIs that I have here, you can see that the APIs are only 2 of them here. And inside of the Integration Cloud Service, I decided to create a flow that would do all this automatically. So if we take a look at this particular flow, it is a schedule-based flow, so it runs about every 10 minutes. And once it runs, it goes and connects to the ICS instance that I'm currently running in. It could point to any ICS instance, but I just had it look at this local instance. And I also went out and got a current list of APIs from the API platform. So this is kind of my current state environment. I then loop through all of the items that I have in my Integration Cloud Service and take a look at to see if there's any that are activated and are REST-based. So they have a REST endpoint and they're currently activated. If they aren't, then I just skip them. Once I find one, I take a look at the API list in my existing API platform, and if it already exists, I ignore this one. But if it doesn't exist, I go ahead and do these series of REST calls, which are pretty straightforward and well documented. I create an API in the API platform, and then I set its API to released. This idea here is that the lifecycle management that's typically there is been pretty much handled in the integration platform. So I just set it to released. And then I set the vanity name and publish it to a developer portal right away and deploy it to a given gateway. In my case, I just deploy it to the first gateway I find. This could be set up to deploy to a particular gateway or all the gateways that are in the API platform. So that's pretty much it. It just loops through all of the integrations that I have in my ICS, in my Integration Cloud Service, and looks for any that are active and any that are REST-based active. And so I have this one here that's not currently in my API platform, and my scheduler is currently turned off so that I can run it manually. So I'm going to run this manually, just saying submit now. And this will run through its instance looking for this particular flow, which is called this JRG simple REST flow. So we should see this pop up inside of my API platform. So let's take a look. So if I refresh the screen here, yep, there it is. And so it's currently set here. It's going to take just a second. If I refresh again, yep, you can see now it's been published. It's currently on the production gateway. It's set up to listen to both HTTP and HTTPS endpoints. And if I take a look at the detail in this flow, it has used just this kind of idea of /ICS and then name of the flow as the entry point in the URI. Has a basic key validation requirement, so the developers have to set up a API key. I set up a rate limiter for like 1,000 messages in a day to stop anybody from abusing any of my integration cloud services that I deploy here. And then this points back to my my ICS instance. You can see if I go here, it's currently deployed into my production. If there had been a workflow defined for all the deployments, it would have followed that workflow, but I don't have that, so it immediately goes and is activated in the gateway. I also set up the API portal to have this simple name here and the basic documentation that comes from ICS for REST services. So if I take a look at this and go to my developer portal, you can see that I have, if I bring this up, I have this API here now that's released, and I can take a look, and this documentation is having an issue with here, but let me take a look at this metadata. I think it's secure, so let me just set that up. Obviously, we'd want that documentation not be behind the security system. So if I take a look now at this flow, it will show me the documentation for this mock service, how to connect it, how to send a payload, etc. And I can register for it and do all the things I normally do in the API platform to start using it. So this was just a simple scenario that shows how you could use things like Integration Cloud Service or scripts or whatever to look through either maybe an ICS or PCS or maybe a service bus or something to look for particular services and automatically through a few simple APIs publish those into the API platform. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you.